Namaste, Swamiji.
No, I can't lose. Lose that. Namaste.
No, Namaste.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll start with the first meditation. We'll call this something a practice that we can do. Before I say that, I'll just say this: that today we went to this aquarium. So Brahmadas and I. So one thing came there, that the importance of being in the present before engaging in meditation. I'll just give you one before we start, then we'll begin our what you call mindfulness meditation. So one thing that in our Belumat, how we used to be trained by the sadhus there, people would sit for long hours of meditation in the morning time. But that's not necessarily how deep their meditation was. You know how the senior monks used to test how deep was your meditation? They used to give us this aloo cutting, this potato peeling, and they would see how carefully you had peeled the potato without taking the least amount of flesh, but doing it in that type of way where you could skillfully do it, efficiently do it, but the least amount of flesh was taken away. It shows your concentration of mind. Same thing, sometimes the brahmacharis would tell the senior monks, Maharaj, today I meditated for 3 hours. They don't care about that. Okay, that's how you chop this onion or cut this log. Then they're seeing there with what concentration you do. What do we mean by concentration? Being in the present moment. So sometimes we see that sometimes we engage in meditation to escape from something. In the Yoga Sutras, you know, this is called vikalpa, imagination. That's one of the ideas of the mind. Vikalpa, imagination. It's an obstacle sometimes. In other aspects, we'd already talked about we brood over something. So again, our mind's not, when we brood, what is it? Where is our mind going? To the past, yes. We're ruminating toward the past, yes. When it's not in the past, it's not in the present. So sometimes I think we forget this aspect, that the mind that engages in meditation we have to first be anchored in the present. When I was in San Francisco a long time ago, I was practicing law at that time. So I remember one person from the hippie days. He's an old-time devotee. He used to go there and say, I can't wait for meditation. And then he adds space. Like he's escaping into, which is another type of meditation. This is called one type of discursive meditation. In Advaita Vedanta, it's like, if it's consciously done, you're not focusing on an object, but you're allowing whatever objects to come into the mind, come into the mind, and you're just watching that as a witness. That's one type of, you could say, subjective meditation. But oftentimes what we do is we don't do that. We just unconsciously engage in the past and just go, that Alice in Wonderland, down the rabbit hole, and where it ends nobody knows. It's like a roller coaster. So that's why we also say, that's why when we talk about, pranayama, breath. Why did they always emphasize breath first? Because if you say just focus on whatever is in you can't do that. You need something physical to engage with first. Something that we have some control over. So breath is very powerful, and breath we do have control over. So, and why I'm saying that? Breath is the first tool that brings us into the present. And only when we get into the present, if our mind even is engaging in some conflict of the past, at least we can observe as a subject object. Is that clear? You should be able to observe that and observe my mind now is going into the past. It's ruminating over this conflict in the past. It's ruminating over this insult. It's thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow. Past, future, everything but now. So our first goal in meditation, which is why we start with the breath, which was why this mindfulness meditation, is to bring right here, right now. Then what Sri Aurobindo says, once you bring it right here and right now, then inward and upward. Otherwise, you could go inward, you could try to go inward, but if you go, usually our mind goes outward and downwards, I mean, towards the external world and down descending towards our likes and dislikes, our passions. But inward and upward means that we've established a place, some type of an anchor in the present moment, and now we're anchoring it to something, some higher thought, some scripture, some type of mantra, something. We're taking it to go us upwards. So with that now I'm going to ask us all to, let's first start with our breath. Let's just first, before we even take, let's just observe our breath. Close our eyes. Just deep in and out. Initially, let's hear the noise. You can first we do it exaggerated, then it becomes quiet. So in the beginning, let's make sure we're taking some deep. All of us, let's take a deep breath in. Let's hold it. 1, 2, 3, and out. Again, exaggerate. This in. Out. Again, let's do again. In. Out. Now let's slowly, not making so much noise. Now let's gently, again, breathe it in 4 times. Out. Again, in. Keep doing that. 4 breaths in, holding 4 breath, and breathing out 4, breathing out. As we do this, let's notice the relaxation, especially in our face. Our face will feel some relaxation of the facial muscles. Imagine that we're breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide. We're breathing in all the good thoughts, positivity, and breathing out all the negative emotions, all the negative things that have taken out throughout the day, all the negative thoughts that we've had. We're breathing those out. We're breathing in the good qualities of others and breathing out all our judgments towards ourselves and others, every single judgment towards anybody else and ourselves, breathing that out. The Isha mantra, Ishavasya Upanishad says, the first mantra, Ishavasyamedam sarvam yad kincha jagatyam jagata tena tyaktena bhunjitha magridav kasya svidhanam. So beautiful. In our mind, as this Ishavasya Upanishad says, cover this entire universe with God. God is everywhere. Now we're just breathing in divinity and breathing out divinity. Everywhere, everything, every contact, every sensation, it's all this contact with the divine. We feel our muscles in our back, our shoulders, all these things relaxing automatically. Because where the divine is, there lightness towards life. Because it's all divine. As we do this, we're now creating a space in our heart where now our Ishta Devata, let it be Christ, Buddha, Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, we can place an asana in the center of our heart and now invite them to come and take their seat. And as we picture that Ishta Devata, Christ, Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, so we see them now as luminous, sitting in the heart, which has now been purified. And now we see the luminosity. And not only luminosity, but this joy, this ananda. If you just picture Ramakrishna's smile, and his eyes. And just be with that. Be with that thought. Try to just be with that. Because that's what we want, this joy actually in our life, this divine joy. So that's encapsulated. If you look at Ramakrishna's face and put that in your heart, his face, that's enough. That's enough to be happy. That sweet smile of his makes even we think of that as the source of joy. Behind that smile of the baby, behind that smile of the cat, that which by which this universe moves. And ultimately that Ramakrishna that we see in our heart, let that merge. And then we see that as it becomes intense, let that also merge into us. So this is Tattvamasi, thou art that joy, that Ananda, Satchidananda, thou art that, thou art that. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Let's slowly open our eyes. So today we're going to do, first let's just repeat Yoga Sutras 1.1 again. How many memorized it here? Let's start. Okay. Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Atha yoga anushasanam. So atha means now, here. Yoga, concentration, and anushasanam, now instructions in the Yoga Sutras. Now the next 1.2, it deals with, I'll say it and let's all repeat. Yogas chitta vritti nirodhaha. Yogas chitta vritti nirodhaha. 3 times. Yogas chitta vritti nirodhaha. Yogas chitta vritti nirodhaha. So yoga is the restraint of the mind stuff. Yogas chitta vritti nirodhaha. Yoga here means 2 things, and we'll talk about that. Yoga means concentration, and it also means, according to the commentators, Vyasa, separation. Separation from what? Purusha and Prakriti. Vritti, what does vritti mean? Can anyone say? Vacillation. And what is the vritti though? You have vacillation of what?
The mind.
Yes, the mind stuff we say. Swami Vivekananda says the mind stuff. And what does nirodha mean? Yves?
Is that what stilling?
Yes, stilling. Yes. What does stilling mean?
Like the cessation of those fluctuations.
Yes, cessation. Now, it does mean cessation, but it also means something else. There's 2 meanings to nirodha, depending upon how you interpret yoga. We'll talk about that. But I just want to bring it to the practical relevance now. So this is actually, on the one level, it means deep concentration. Now there's a wide pendulum of what we mean by concentration. Concentration can be, on the one hand, like a scientist, that what we talked about last time, this vikshipta mind, distracted, occasional concentration, again distracted, which is what most of our minds are. Now, that being, how many here wish that they had better focus at work? How many here wish that they had they were more mindful when listening to others? And sometimes we think that before they speak, we speak. How many here wish that we can connect better with others? So these are all different layers of what? Concentration. Because in the Yoga Sutras, we don't make a distinction between thinking, feeling, and willing. They're all different aspects of the cognitive mind, what we call vrittis. So they're all wrapped into one. So that's why when we talk about this concentration, we sometimes we'll look at it from the highest level, but we can also look at it from the practical level. Because even a little improvement in our concentration can make a world of difference in our practical life, in our relationships. We bring that when we also say yogas chitta vritti nirodha. So we're going to see what Vyas, I'll just summarize what he says. Yoga can be interpreted in one of 2 ways. You can go to this. I've made that chart everybody could see. One way is there's 2 types of samadhis in Yoga Sutras. One is what we call sampragyata samadhi. The second one is what we call asampragyata samadhi. Now, what's the difference between the 2? And what does this, sometimes when we hear about samadhi in Vedanta philosophy, we hear this term, Ramakrishna was in nirvikalpa samadhi. So what about this, and sarvikalpa samadhi? But this is something, is there differences between the two? So first let me explain these terms. What is Sampragnata Samadhi? That is when all the vrittis have been restrained. But so the mind is then, no other vrittis are arising yet but one. What is that one vritti arising? They say the Shuddha Sattvic vritti, the pure Sattva vritti, which we sometimes think of as our Ishta Devata. Okay, thinking of Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Christ, Buddha. So whoever we worship inside our heart, in that stage, it can be that you can imagine it that it just that clear, that translucent image is just arising again and again. Vritti means what? You have to think of vritti that is not just something that just stays and just stays continuously. It's more like Shivadas knows this. The films, the old films, they had frame by frame. When they have frame by frame, is just one frame standing still? So what's happening then?
Motion is happening.
Motion is happening. So if I just, on a film, if I was just looking at Ramakrishna's picture, but it was a film, would it just be one still frame?
No.
So the same image of Ramakrishna would come again and again. Same thing with Yoga Sutras in the Sampragnata Samadhi. The same image of Ramakrishna, it will come, it comes in the mind, it falls again. It comes. Now we have something called dharana. How long can you hold it? We'll get that later when we talk about Ashtanga Yoga, which is in Jyoti to teach, this Ashtanga, the pranayama, asana. So one of these things is dharana. So actually I put this here. You can see here, Rajiv has a question. We'll get to your question, Rajiv, just one moment. So we have this yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So yama and niyamas are what? Eves?
Ethical guidelines.
Ethical guidelines, yes. Ethical disciplines. Okay. Asana means what? Seat. Yes, posture. Posture, seat. Now, in the Yoga Sutras, some say, and I don't know what tradition you both studied, sometimes they say that keeping the posture straight or aligned, very, very like that aligned. I think that there's one type of Sukhasana, which is what Ramakrishna practiced, something that easy, comfortable, but you can sit very comfortably and not move. So after asana, then we did this pranayama, our breath, which I think, do you teach, Eves, do you teach in your class, do you teach different types of breathing when you do? Sometimes, okay. What about you, Jyoti?
Absolutely.
Okay, you teach, okay, good. So, pranayama is there. Then the next one is what we call this pratyahara. Who can say what does pratyahara mean? Can anyone say?
Like a tortoise pulling its limbs back. Pratyahara.
Yes. But what does that mean? Yes, a tortoise pulling, that means withdrawal. Withdrawal of what? Of the senses. Actually, of the sense organs from the senses. Also of the mind from the senses. Both the sense organs and especially the mind from the senses, from the sense objects. And sense objects at that point could be also external as well as internal. Next one, and this is a big one, dharana. What does dharana mean?
One point of concentration.
No, there's one stage before that. Eves? No, dharana means actually holding. So now we've restrained our mind. We've attempted, I wouldn't say full restraint, we've attempted to restrain our mind. We've attempted to restrain our mind from going outward. attempted to restrain from the sense organs going out toward the sense objects, attempted to restrain from our mind going to these different thoughts in our mind, then holding it. This is a struggle. This is attempted meditation. It's not meditation. What you said, ekagrata, concentration, that's later on, that's dhyana. But this is attempted meditation. So say that I sit in my chair or I sit in my seat and I try to visualize Ramakrishna. Now each time another thought comes, I put, like the Buddhist monk, I put a marble inside the vase. Slowly I see my mind doesn't vacillate. That's called holding it. You don't need it many seconds to attain samadhi. I think it's 104. If you can really hold your mind even for 144 seconds, you can attain samadhi. But this concentration is not just ordinary concentration. But dharana means attempted holding. We hold it, then it goes back again. I think last week I mentioned about Vaikunthanath Sanyal, that he had he was given, this is what we talk about, Kundalini awakening. How many of you here have heard about Kundalini awakening? How many of you have met somebody who had a Kundalini awakening? Excuse me, sorry. That's my brother calling. I never found so much pleasure in declining a call. Okay. Okay. Now, dharana means, so that means holding. So that could be that, say, in the Kalpataru day, I think I mentioned that last week. Ramakrishna touched this Vaikunthanath Sanyal. And after some time, he was having the constant vision of Thakur. Now, for 3 days, he had this constant vision. But because his mind was not purified, he had other desires. He had an operation. He had a business. He might have had a podcast, He might have a yoga studio if he was. So, oh my God, what's going to happen to my podcast? I keep seeing Ramakrishna. That's no good. But he keeps seeing him. So finally he prayed to Thakur. Because why? He could not handle it. You're only fit to hold that which you deserve. So if I wanted to lift 300 pounds, what would happen? It would break my body. So you have to think like a Kundalini awakening. It's like 1,000,000 watt. How pure is the mind? So only that person, that purification mind, that mind is nirbhashana, free from all desires, even in the dream state. Swami Vivekananda, he gave this, they talked about brahmacharya. He gave that talk at the Parliament of Religions. I think when Sisters and Brothers of America, then people stood up and clapped. Why? He said not even for a moment in his life did even the thought of lust appear in his mind, even at the dream state. So what happens then? All that energy, psychic energy, we say, that gets sometimes expounded towards the world, it gets concentrated and it goes inwards and upwards. And then it becomes like a thunderbolt. That thunderbolt is what we call ojas, spiritual energy. And with that type of mind can handle the Kundalini awakening. No other mind. Any other mind that says that, it'll snap. You can have it. But then if it gets too much, it's like what happens if a 10,000 voltage or 1,000,000 voltage passes through a 100 volt. You can only hold 100 volts. Even just a little bit. You see, we can't handle too much. Even our house can't handle too much. Same thing. People can go mad then, actually. That's why the most important thing we say, nirbhashana, slowly, that slowly purification of the mind comes. That's not saying things are bad. That's saying this is a gradual process, but it's understanding really what the goal is in spiritual life. This is the goal in spiritual life. Yes. Then dharana means holding. But say Ravana. Ravana in the Ramayana, was he not a great yogi? By his meditation, he attained the grace of Lord Shiva. In fact, when I went to Mount Kailash, they have this Rakshatala there, which is next to Mount Kailash, next to Lake Manasarovar. This is Rakshatala. They said that Ravana, by his sadhana, he not only earned Shiva's grace, he tried to lift Mount Kailash. And it says that he was so strong by this Shiva, he lifted it a little bit, a little shaking was there. And then Lord Parvati became alarmed. She said, "What's going on?" Then she told Lord Shiva, "Do something." So Lord Shiva, with a small toe, gave him a kick and he went out. So that's dharana. Does everyone understand dharana? Holding something.
Swamiji, what did you mean by what you deserve? You get what you deserve. Like
Meaning,
what we are able to
yes,
have.
meaning how desireless our mind is. The true test of spirituality is that desirelessness. We say virag. Not the desirelessness of a wall, Swami would say. That doesn't feel, that doesn't touch. Swami Vivekananda could feel in 1901 or 1902. He was in his room in Bellarmont, and his sleep was disturbed at night, and he was weeping in his room. And Swami Vijnanananda ji, he came next door. His name was Peshab. He said, "Norenda ki holo." He's in Bengali. He called him Noren. What happened? And Noren told Swami Vijnanji, Peshab, we called him Peshab. Peshab, I don't know what happened. Kintu kichu holo. Something happened. Kichu kono dukkha hoyeche. Some type of suffering took place. Next day they saw the newspaper that in Japan a major cyclone took place. Thousands of people lost their lives. So this is not that type of where you don't feel anything. No, desirelessness does not mean that. It means that the mind gets purified. Not 1 ounce iota of the mind goes towards the any desire from the world. It doesn't want anything from the world. You cannot give me anything. He's free, completely free from that desire for name and fame, lust and greed.
Sensual pleasures, no sensual.
Not only sensual, that sensual pleasure is just the external aspect. Beyond sensual, that's just the beginning. Then beyond that, you have more and more settled name and fame, one's own ego, glorification of one's own ego. That's just the external. That's actually just the beginning of things, not the end. First you start with that, then you go to that purification in a dream state. Then you keep going slowly, slowly, slowly. What happens in that? What's happening? This means purification of the mind. This tamas and this rajas is getting slowly, slowly purified. And the sattva when the sattva becomes more and more pure, what happens then? Things become transparent. What happens when the mind becomes transparent? What do they call Ramakrishna an avatar? Because God's Shakti, God's power, they can manifest without any kind of mal, without any kind of impurity. Manifest in its full extent. So we went dharana. Ravana could dhyana though, he could engage in meditation, but he was not actually established in his yamas and niyamas. Eve, you know this, that's chapter 3 of the Yoga Sutras. What is chapter 3? The third pada. Vibhuti pada. Special powers. Vibhuti pada, the first one is this Samadhi pada, which talks about the yoga of concentration. Sampragyata, asampragyata. Second is this sadhana pada, the aspect of sadhana, the type of sadhana you engage in. Third is once you're climbing on this rung of spirituality, then what happens? Like Buddha, when he was making progress, sitting underneath the Bodhi tree. At that time, Mara is the god of death. See, as you progress in spiritual life, the lower gods become very jealous. Okay, you're going to get more power than me. Okay, so let's throw something at you. I went to Bodh Gaya last year. So when I went there, I was looking at that Bodhi tree. I was imagining what direction was Buddha sitting in as he sat for meditation. That's where he attained his nirvana. I just imagine one place he's looking. Then I thought that this is where this great Mahabharata, this great war took place. This is where Yama was sending all the forces of lust and greed, sending one after another to Buddha. One, this all different types of wealth, lust, anything was coming. So Buddha one by one went through these things, one by one, and applied that, what we say, viveka, discrimination. They said the sort of discrimination, cutting. Next thing then was your family, your beautiful wife, your son Rahul. This ultimate attachment. Again, he's cutting those things. What is he saying? What Thakur Ramakrishna says in the Kathamrita, or what the Viveka Chudamani says, Vedanta Sara. Nityam anityam vastu vivek. Satyam vastu vivek. So discriminating between the unreal, what remains, what's real and what's unreal. Same thing the yogi is doing. What is real and what is unreal? The body is changing every single moment. We don't want it, the body is changing every single moment. From when we were young to now, every single moment. They sometimes have on YouTube, some people take pictures every single day of their life. When they were a baby to old age, they took a picture every single day of their life. So if you look at that in a span of 3 minutes, you look at that, who was that? What's the same? Everything looks different. Same thing, if we had a mental camera, we can take a picture of the mind stuff, how the mind has changed from the beginning till now. What is not different about ourselves from when we're first born till now? Can anyone say?
Mind.
Mind is changing.
Yeah.
So what is not changed?
The awareness, consciousness.
What do you mean by that?
Which is beyond the body and mind.
Okay, beyond the body. Okay, that's what we're saying theoretically now. But can we say, is there anything that we can say? Can you just actually feel anything from your own experience? What we say pratyaksha in the Yoga Sutras.
I is not changing.
Yeah, the I is not changing. What do you mean by the I? Where is the I?
Awareness
What do you mean by awareness?
or mindfulness or just being, that state of being.
But how do you know? Awareness is who's being aware? We're always being unaware, right? That's why we're practicing this meditation, this mindfulness. So how can we say, what is it that's unchanging?
The one who is experiencing, maybe.
Okay, we're experiencing, but if we really knew that, then we wouldn't get entangled so much. It's something we have to think about, actually. I know that the answers are there, and it's really easy to say that, but I feel that what should be done, actually, is something that we have to give it some thought.
The mind's witness hasn't changed.
What was that?
The witness of the mind hasn't changed.
Okay, the witness of the mind isn't changed, but again, that's just words. Okay, thank you. So that's just words. So I don't.
Until we realize it.
Until you realize it, yeah, I like that better. Let's just not, because the moment you try to say something, and this is important, the moment you try to give a concept to something that we have not realized, we don't probe into it any further. That's like this, what we say, the fixed mindset. I know. And when we say I know, the inquiry stops. So let's not do that. That's what I feel. Let's not do that. No. It could be this witness, but what does that mean? So we have to engage in that in our own mind. We have to engage in that. It's a constant process. There's something in the yoga, in the Kathopanishad. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyaha na medhayana bahuna shvidena. Nayamatma pravachanena labhya. Pravachanena means talking. By talking, one cannot realize the Atman. By speech, by lectures, we can't realize the Atman. Even if you get 10 million views, you still can't realize the Atman. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyaha na medhayana. Medhaya. Medha means this awakened intellect. Even by the awakened intellect, you cannot realize the Atman. Na medhayana ahuna shrutena. Shrutena means by listening. By listening alone, you cannot realize what the Atman is. Yam eva esha vinute tena labhyaha. Yam eva esha vinute. Vinute means he who seeks after that. The seeker. What Swami A said, Vyakulata. That's seeking. Yam eva esha vinute tena labhyaha tasyesha atma vivinute tanum swam. And that self chooses who it will reveal itself to. So one can realize by seeking after it, and then it also has who it chooses to reveal itself to. It's a beautiful synthesis of bhakti yoga with purushakara, self-effort. So this is why we have to going when we engage in our meditation, why Christ said, any in our relations, any type of negativity we have towards ourselves, towards others, that has to be removed. That's very important. Removed from the in fact, that's also there in the Kathopanishad. And I can look at it. I won't waste our time right now, but I just chanted it the other day. It says that the Ishvara is engaged, is put in the middle of the heart, but it's seated there in misery. Why is it seated in misery? Shankaracharya says it's seated there in misery because it's surrounded by worldly thoughts, negativity. Anytime we have any kind of negative thought, negative emotion towards ourselves, towards others, anything, we can know that our Ishta Devata will be miserable inside. So it's not just repeating the mantra. Repeating the mantra is one thing, but engaged in this constant satasat vichar. Ramakrishna said satasat vichar means constant discrimination, constant contemplation, including self-introspection. What the Yoga Sutras say, swadhyaya means self-introspection. Okay, so then we go to dhyana and then samadhi. So after you can attain, so according to Yoga Sutras, when you get high enough concentration, you'll be tested at that time. So this purification, this desirelessness does not mean much in the beginning. But as you go higher, when you're confronted that, do you want, remember Ramakrishna, he offered Swami Vivekananda all his powers. He told Swamiji that, আমি বয়স হয়েছে আর কারণ আমি অনেক কিছু this ঐশ্বর্য, this siddhi powers I have. তুমি চাস, do you want these things? Then Narendranath and Uttardhi, he replied, এইসব জিনিসগুলো আমি কি করব? What shall I do with these powers? Then Sri Ramakrishna replied, you can do many things like help the world. Then Narendranath Datta, Swami Vivekananda said, first let me realize God, and then I'll decide whether or not I need these things. So see that's what we say, this nirbashana, desirelessness. So once you get then dhyana, then this concentration will stick with this again, according to the Yoga Sutras, it only takes about 144 seconds to get real concentration, but it has to be real concentration. Then finally samadhi. Two types of samadhi, the sampragyata samadhi, which is that we see our own Ishta Devata coming again and again, the same one coming, and this asampragyata samadhi. Now that's a new term. Asampragyata samadhi means what? Well, no, what did you say in the beginning? You said what does nirodha mean? Cessation. Cessation of all thoughts, good and bad. Everything stops at that time. At that time, what happens? Remember in yoga philosophy, Sankhya, we have two eternal realities. What are the two realities? I'll say one, Purusha, Prakriti. What is Prakriti? this material reality. Nature, yes. Nature in its manifested and unmanifested form. So what happens then? Purusha gets separated from Prakriti. Our identification with this world, which includes our own egoism, that also gets separated. Buddha, at the end of his life, the last thing Mara gave to him was another reflection of Buddha. So Mara appeared to Buddha as his own reflection. What does that mean? Myself, my ego, my identification with myself. That's the thing most dearest to us. You can say, how do we know that? They say, what's the name most dearest to us? Even more dear than our own child's name, our own cat's name, our grandson's name, our own name. When we say that's the ultimate test. When someone says our name, then okay. So we identify with that. So at that time when Mara appeared before Buddha as his own reflection, then he said, Buddha clearly said, O mind, O ego, thou art unreal. And then they showed in that movie Little Buddha that Mara, the reflection vanished, and Mara, the death-like face of Mara appeared, and he just came apart. So that represents that ultimate break between Purusha and Prakriti. At that time, what happens? The mind-body-ego complex dissolves. Ramakrishna said in the Gospel, Katamrita, that when a person reaches that state, they can only keep the body for 21 days. Ramakrishna kept the body for 6 months in that state. Why? Somehow through the Divine Mother, somebody came and put food in his mouth, some water. That is asampragyata samadhi. Now, some of you have heard of a term nirvikalpa samadhi, which is in Advaita Vedanta we think of. So what's the difference between this state of asampragyata samadhi in Yoga Sutras and nirvikalpa samadhi in Advaita Vedanta? The difference is this, that just the difference in philosophy. In Advaita, there's only one reality. Tattvamasi, thou art that. There never was. This Jagat, this world is nothing but, Shankara Gaudapada said, an illusion. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman alone is real. And the world is unreal. So, Jivo Brahmaivana Paraha. And there's no difference between the Paramatman and the Jivatman. So there's only oneness. But in yoga philosophy, there's two things. There's Purusha as well as Prakriti. Yes. That's the difference there. Okay. Okay, I think we've covered a lot today. So we'll just now, we'll take a couple of questions, and then I just wanted then just to go once more over this preface, take a different note, just once more to the preface. What can we do to acquire this? What is the most important thing then for us to acquire as spiritual aspirants? This purification of mind, this desirelessness. It's not saying not to have desires. Go through the desires. But at the same time, apply that sense of discrimination between what's real and what's unreal. Desires are important, that we have to have that, and that's, yes. So first I'll take any questions first, if anyone has any questions, and then we'll touch something else real quickly. So, but let me just say in conclusion what we discovered, we talked about today. We talked about Yoga Sutras 1.2, which is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. And what does that literally mean?
The stilling of the cessations in the mind,
Yeah.
cessation
cessation of the vrittis of the
Yes,
mind.
the cessation of the vrittis of the mind. And we can say that there's a pendulum for this though. This is what you say, concentration, yoga. There's a pendulum. One pendulum is that when we're sitting for meditation, when we're in work, when somebody's talking to us, we'd like to increase our mindfulness. That's one end of the pendulum. That same pendulum ends with nirvikalpa samadhi. It's the same mind. You can't compartmentalize that. It's one mind we have, not two minds. Even our feelings, when we want to listen to somebody, show empathy. That same mind we have to apply. In work, in meditation, the same mind. Now it's becoming, as I gave that talk in about, I think, cultivating spiritual habits in a distracted age, it's becoming more and more difficult now to cultivate that concentrated mind, concentrated heart, concentrated will. So that's what we talked about, and then we talked about this yama, niyama, and especially dharana, holding something, and the importance of nirbashana. First, we'll take any questions. Then I want to touch one last point.
What does dhyana mean?
Do you have the
No,
thing?
no, we don't have.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, what were you asking?
What does dhyana mean again?
Dhyana means meditation. What we said, ekagrata. Eka agrata. One pointedness of mind. That is what ekagrata means. So last time we talked about from Vyasa's commentary, going from vikshipta, which is occasionally concentrated and occasionally not. Like Brahmadas, you might come here and have a beautiful meditation, but the moment you step into your car, you forgot your phone, or worse yet, today Brahmadas forgot his. We all forget our stuff, so I do too. So that's alteration between the concentrated and the distracted mind. So ekagrata means what? One-pointedness. Now sometimes that one-pointedness is contrary to multitasking. I once saw my guru Swami Swahananji. I heard that when he was in Berkeley, he didn't know how to cook many dishes, but he was once cooking dal. So he's just cooking one dish and just completely focused, like when is it going to boil? Just looking at that one pot. So that doesn't necessarily mean skillfulness there, just one-pointedness of mind. So somehow we read in the commentary, Vyasa's commentary in the first sutra, that this one-pointedness needs to become habitual. As far as we can make it habitual, to that extent, we progress in our meditation. Because it's only one mind, right? Not two minds. So anything we do, that one-pointedness of mind, we have to bring into it. That alertness, that's what we have to bring into it. Yes, Lakshmi.
So the purification of mind, so we need, in order for us to move in our spiritual path, like go upward in our spiritual path, we need to have purification of mind. So the yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, and dhyana should help with the purification of mind.
It's supposed to, so Lakshmi, because she has a microphone, she said we need purification of, yes, purification of mind is our ultimate goal. In fact, in one place in the Kautamrita, Ramakrishna said, Shuddhamon, Shuddha Brahma Aki, which means the pure mind and the pure Brahman are one and the same. Now in Vedanta, they have this aparoksha anubhuti. Some of you may have heard of this text. What does that mean? That means that when the pure mind is there, automatically Brahman reveals itself. The next moment, aparoksha anubhuti. It happens spontaneously. So that's our goal of life, to apply that viveka again and again. That doesn't mean we go through the experiences of life, but we always apply that sort of discrimination. Does that mean that we don't enjoy life, we stop loving? No, nothing like that. This is a gradual process. And even in then, what we talked about, even when you say love, loving of another, yes, that's very, very important. But what does this love mean actually? Well, Swami Vivekananda defined this love. Love is not there's different, this idea of what you say kama. Kama is the Sanskrit root for love, means desire. Lower levels of kama is towards another person's body, passions, these types of things. As we rise, it becomes more empathy, unselfishness. Actually, true love is not, they say, is not a noun, it's a verb. It's to do. It's whatever I always think for the other person. So we say the mother's love for their child. They're always thinking for that person, that child. They never think of their own self. The bodhisattva ideal that we talked about, being, the bodhisattva ideal actually, its ultimate manifestation is being that mother towards the world. Everyone becomes my child. I think that Professor Hallesley gave a nice example of that, because there were many pushback when he said this. He said, I think Buddha told Ananda, from Pali he translated, Ananda, are you being a friend, or are you tolerating those who are being a jerk towards you? Are you loving those who are being a jerk towards you? So this type of thing, Holy Mother, towards the good and the bad, she was the mother of all. A Muslim crook who used to steal. So somebody in Holy Mother's, in her village, he was a devotee of the Holy Mother. His name was Amjad. So they would go there. He's a Muslim. So I think one of Holy Mother's Shevak, she's throwing the food at him. There's the plate there, so she's throwing the food. Holy Mother sees that. He says, is this how you serve a person? So what does she do? She said, you go. So she goes. She washes the place. She gently, that act of service, that love, that even a cat, today we have a cat in our monastery again, even a cat can feel that. So even an animal can feel that act of love. It's in the intention we're giving that. So now I'm going to bring that full circle to, yes, Swayamji.
So when you were talking about pratyaharam, you said it's withdrawal of the senses from the sense organs. Can you elaborate on that
Yes.
a little bit, and practically what does that mean?
Yes,
You close your eyes and not see, you don't hear, or what exactly does it
Yeah.
mean, withdrawing the senses
Yes.
from the sense
I'll just
organs?
repeat it. So the question Swayamji asked was, what does it mean? What does pratyahara mean? Which means this withdrawal of these senses. So what I explained is it's at two levels. Whatever we talk about, there's actually three levels. Anything in any scripture that we talk about, in any level of purification, in any level of sadhana, we actually have three levels that you can note this down. Any text you can apply this to, whether it's yoga, Vedanta, bhakti. There's the stula, the gross. There's the sukshma, the subtle. And there's the karana, the causal. So what I meant here when I said pratyahara, at one level, what it means is that, say, one say brahmacharya, the idea of purity. What does it mean, purity between a husband? This is what Swami Vivekananda said. It doesn't mean that you. Actually, Swami Prabhupada said this. Shankara's guru. He said that brahmacharya doesn't mean absence of relations. It means relations only towards your wife. That means even when you're walking outside or your wife sees others, the mind has that nishtha, that loyalty, that for one pointedness, that only toward their partner and nobody else. So pratyahara means that we see something outside at the gross level. For me, I see chocolate ice cream. Or the banana chips that I think Vani sometimes brings. So I see that, and sometimes that's there. So, wow, I want to have that, but no, it's not good for me. So that means the sense objects are going out, the eyes are going out. It sees that, but it says no. Let me wait. Let me not engage in that right now. Same thing when I'm going out. We're going different places. We see so many different types of nama rup, so many different types of names and forms. So we have to, at that time, We can't say stop the mind from going, but we say when it goes out, applying that level of discrimination. Sat asat vichar. That's at the gross level. Okay. Advertisements. Advertisements are coming towards us. So an advertisement comes towards us. If you're a smoker, you see a good cigarette, I've got to have that right now. I like Japanese food, so if I see something, oh, I got to have that right now. So no, cutting that. That's at the gross. Then sometimes it's also at the mental level, our desires. Right? So we sometimes think of something. It comes from within. Oh no, that's not good for me. I feel like having alcohol or something like that. That's not good. So that's applying this pratyahara. The mind, like the horses, in the Kathopanishad it's there. Indriyani prayanahuhu vishayansteshu gocharan. So the mind, he gives the analogy of the horses being like the sense organs, and the roads, the roads being like the sense objects, gocharan, following the roads. So the horses, like sense organs, always going towards those sense objects, either at the gross state or the subtle state. So being aware and applying that level of discrimination. Is that clear? Okay. Now, I want to just take this now full circle, an easy way for us, especially here at the Atlanta Vedanta Society, to practice this. I guarantee this will yield results. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in the life of my parents. I've seen it in many lives. It's a surely guaranteed formula. And that is this, that an easy way to do this, and this is in line with the Yoga Sutras, with the Bhakti schools, in the second chapter. In fact, in the 1.23 of the Yoga Sutras, they say, if you cannot meditate, if you cannot engage in dhyana, deep concentration, there's another way, don't worry. Ishvara pranidhanat va, or Ishvara pranidhana. What does Ishvara pranidhana mean? Self-surrender to Ishvara, to God. The Bhakti school is in Yoga Sutras itself. So what's the way? In Bhakti, Narada Bhakti Sutras, they talk about this Vatsalya Bhav. Looking at God, there was like this I think it was one lady devotee of Ramakrishna. She told Ramakrishna, I cannot concentrate on God. And Ramakrishna asked, Kano, why? And she said, Amar mon sabsamay nijer nati dike jachi. So my mind is always going towards my grandchild. The mother passed away, and so now he's only going towards the grandchild. And the mother, so he had to take care of the grandchild. So then what happens is that Ramakrishna says, what we say in Yoga Sutras is pratipaksha bhavanam. That means use that object to further your meditation. So what did he say? You concentrate, when you think of that child, you think of that child as the Lord Krishna, the baby Krishna. That day we saw that baby Krishna in 2 days ago. We went to Lakshmi's place for dinner. So that was Janmastami. So many people in India, they worship that Krishna as a small bacha baby. Sometimes it needs to be spanked. Sometimes it needs to be, I think Ramakrishna, when he worshipped this Ramlal, this small Ramlal. So one day that he had so much devotion, he saw that Ramlal actually going into the water. And he said, Ramlal, tumi ki kochish? What are you doing? You'll drown. You'll drown. So he then went and slapped Ramlal. Then afterwards he felt so bad. He thought this same Ram, small Ram, this Bacha Ram that is his mother took such good care of, I gave him a slap. So that type of love he had for that. So this Ishvara, he becomes like a small baby, a small boy. Same thing in our ashram here. You can see Ramakrishna there. So he's actually, in Mayarbadi, mother's house in Bagbazar, we have a Mahanta. They say the head of the center. Ram, you gotta cover you're yawning sometimes. You gotta cover that or something because that's contagious, that's tough. Brahmadas did it the whole time. Somebody had to call him out. Wow.
It's still contagious even when it's covered.
Yeah. My God. Sorry. Okay. I had to say that. This is my last class live. So
Don't say that, Swami.
no. I said live right for right now. Okay. So there's an easy way to do this now. And I'll tell you, our sadhus practice this in Bellarmine. I've seen this. We had this Shiv Shankar sadhu. Every morning after morning arati, people would go, I should someday give you guys a class in Bellarmine, inside Bellarmine. They would go walk to the different temples, making salutations to the different temples. What would he be doing? He would be sweeping the roads. Same thing, many of our senior monks, when they used to go in, our senior monks, sometimes they were very old, and just one sadhu passed away today at the age of 91. His name is Kali Krishna Maharaj. I was very, very close to him. We were very close. So these sadhus, these old sadhus, they used to sweep the yard. Why? It started with Swami Brahmananda. Holy Mother, she would wake up in the early morning, she would sweep the courtyard in Jairambati. Somebody would come and take the broom. No, Mother, Ami Korbo. No, but she would do it. Why? She could see Ramakrishna walking through there. Same thing in Bellarmine. So one thing you could think that in any place, in Bellarmine, in Mayarbadi, they say, Holy Mother, she lived there, she was the first Mahanta there. So even the Mahanta there now, he's actually the manager. She's the Mahanta. In my Advaita ashram, I hope my Mahanta is not watching, but he was actually the manager. Swami Vivekananda started that center, so he was the head of that center. So same thing, if you have the feeling here that this is nothing, this whole place, every square inch of this only belongs to one person. Who? Thakur. That's the one right there. Sometimes I see people sometimes come, they pass him by and they go inside the monastery and, to see the Swami or whatever. But, you have to think of him as like a small baby. He also wants attention too. Yeah. So if we think of that, so if we think that easy way, you could say, what's the difference between doing this here and doing it at our home? At our home is something called nitya karma, kartabhyam, that you ought to do that. If you don't do that, you don't get any credit for that. You don't get any credit for taking care of your family. If you don't do that, you get papam. But only in an ashram that's where you get to cut your karma. Why? Because this place doesn't belong to you. This is Thakur's place. So what we're not doing for a Swami. We're doing for who? Thakur. That's the only one we're doing it for. When Shivadas sets up this projector, who is he doing this for? When anyone looks at there, and anyone looks at the, actually yesterday and today I did that. I swept there. I felt such great joy. What happens then, you won't get this even by giving a grant, you won't get that feeling. What's happening here? Your karma is getting cut. And what else is happening? Chitta Shuddhi. And the mind is getting expanded. You'll feel that. If we do anything with the proper attitude, anything we do here, looking at the flowers, anything our mind goes, anything that this whole ashram belongs only to one person. The other day I saw a hibiscus outside. So one tree, they cut that, gave it to Mother Kali over there. So that joy then comes. That joy, every single square inch of this is not. So I think that even if the Swami is not here, it's important for people to come every week. Why? For whose sake are they coming? Yes. Some say Buddha lo. They said old person, but he never liked that. In fact, there was one conversation. Ramakrishna said, I'll say in Bangla then in English, three things I don't like. Baba, Guru, Acharya. Being called father, Guru, and teacher. This Marwadi once called him, oh Guruji. And then he said, who's one's guru? You're my guru. So he didn't like that thing. So he always had that attitude. He's like us. Swami Vivekananda used to see him like that as a small boy. So you think, whenever you pass through here, you think that there's someone waiting here. They also, like a small boy, they also want attention too. Not only that, so when we come here, we do our meditation here too. Our main thing, these are all secondary, the main thing is connecting with that. It's a very powerful spiritual vibration here. That should be kept up. You can connect, these things will bring this chitta shuddhi. When we come here, we don't think, everything we're doing, Naveenji is looking after the accounts. He's taking care of the money. How much money? Whose money is that? Whose? Thakur's, yes. So if it's Thakur's money, then we're always, everything belongs to him, yes. Because the devotees have all given their hard-earned money for that. So this type of attitude we bring, everything we do there, even in our relationship with others, how we treat others, everyone is a devotee here. Nobody's coming here, nobody's getting paid as far as you see a salary here. Everyone's coming here because of their love for Thakur. I believe that. Everyone's coming here because of their love for Thakur. So that type of thing we have to bring towards others too. We have to recalibrate ourselves. That's very, very important. Yeah. So that's why I said this Sheva of this ashram is a really quick way for this chitta shuddhi, this purification of the mind. As much as we can do, as much as we think that this place, to that extent will grow. In our own shrine, we won't grow like that. No, we won't. We'll get something, but not like this. In your own home, you might have a tirtha. That's different. Thakur might be there. But he's now been established here by a sadhu. When a sadhu comes and established, they say that's like a god establishing these things. So we see the difference between our own home and this place. So as far as we can do, if we have a kirtan, if we do it here, and we do it towards him. Sometimes you see the difference. You see some people, they sing for the others, the praise of others. And you see some, they're almost indifferent to who else is sitting there. Their mind is just fully focused on the Lord, just looking at him. Swayamji, yes.
Will Thakur enjoy even if we are Besur? Like we don't have the right
Wow.
So yes and no. Because one time, Narendranath, he was feeling, his mind was troubled with the with lawsuits. He had his own, these, if you read their lives, I wish you had the lives, the monastic lives. Do you have they lived with God and God lived with them in there? You should have those. Those are very, very important because there are ideals. That shows us that sometimes that our life is not so easy, look at the struggles that they faced. I think that more time should be spent studying their lives actually. Lives of the householders, of the monks. See what they did, how they had to live, how struggles. So anyways, one time Narendranath, Datta, Swami Vivekananda, he lost his job. He had a job. I went to that place. Because he was too successful, so Vidyasagar's grandson got jealous and said, not only he kicked him out as principal of that metropolitan school, no other school would hire him. His father just passed away. So he was torn between two worlds. One was the world of renunciation. I want to become a monk. The other was the world of what? Taking care of the family. He's the eldest son. So one day he went to sing for Ramakrishna, and but that he was worried about other things. So Thakur said that. One time he could say, Ajke Narendra Gana to bhalo noy. Today's Narendranath singing is not very good. He's thinking about something else. So Swamiji felt very embarrassed. So that's one thing. And other places Ramakrishna said for those who are trained, the tal should be there, the worship should be there. That's for public consumption. But one can sing for Thakur for themselves. Absolutely, yes. Yeah. In fact, that's a very powerful spiritual practice. I think when I was in Belur Math, I was there for, the first time I was there during training center. So I was there a year and a half extra after training center. So sometimes I used to go in the middle of the night, Holy Mother's temple. and nobody was there. Holy Mother's temple looking over the Ganga, and I felt like I was in the center of the universe. The Ganga is right there. Above that, the moon. To the right of myself, Swami Vivekananda's temple. To the left of myself, Swami Brahmananda's temple. Right where I am, Holy Mother, where she was buried. Her body was burnt and buried. And right beyond that, Ramakrishna's temple, where his temple. So I felt I was like in the center of the universe. So Thakur in Bangla bolechen near, what is it? Near Jone? Oh, no, Bone Kone Mone. Bone Kone. So going into a forest, meaning not forest, but going by oneself, somewhere privately. No one should see that. Alone. Mone, within one's own mind. And Kone, in a corner. No one should know. So that's something, then yes, that becomes something very intense. And we can cultivate that attitude. So I say that, I think the question was coming, everyone doesn't have to come, but I say that even when I'm gone, continue this thing and invite people to come here. For whose sake are we inviting? Yes. And not only that, when we step inside here, this is a sacred place. So they say in a sacred place, every good thought you have will be multiplied by 1,000 in terms of karma. And every bad thought, the opposite. Because you're not contributing to this holy space. So we should be very mindful when we come here. Not in too much casual thought. There should be a space that only meditation, only chanting. So I was just suggesting, I think in our talk, that this next Sunday, he can have that Chid Brahmananda can speak through Zoom. Whoever wants to come. And maybe if the Kirtan, his group is there, that's fine. If they want to come. If they don't come, you can play this Om. And just meditation from 10 to 11 that day. If they come, then from 10 to 10:45 Kirtan, then 10:45 to 11 o'clock, that Om meditation. Meditation, and there should be a space like that. So we should also have a sign outside that says something like, please turn off your ringer, or either please turn off your phone or put it in silence mode before you enter into this shrine where deities reside. Where deities reside, because they reside. Okay, so that's one point I wanted to bring out. Yeah.
Swamiji,
Yeah.
it's amazing to see your devotion towards Thakur Ma and Swamiji. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to see you. I visited Belur Mutt, and the picturization you gave, it was exactly which I experienced. And also when I went for the first time, I used to sit behind the Brahmananda Maharaj's shrine, and it is so beautiful. So it's wonderful to see you, sharing all your reminiscences and all these connections and this loving bond you have with Thakur Ma and Swamiji and all these reminiscences. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I also want to add that I'm going to give a 6-week course starting on September 17th. So those of you, we're going to go fully into this, and we're going to go through the pre-pilgrimage mindset, pilgrimage, and I think that that's really important, how to approach a place of pilgrimage. Then I hope to do it that we can take you, even if you can't go, I hope to give you that, we'll take you through Dakshineshwar, Kolkata, Puri Jagannath, Kashi, Vishwanath, Puri, Vishwanath, Kashi, then Amarnath, and end with Mount Kailash. These will be, actually, I've been to these places many times. So these are based on my own deep studies, but also these were like my weekly or yearly routines. So I spent large times here. And for me, I think we'll send the link tomorrow, and I'll ask actually Vani to put these on the website too. I think this will be something embodied. And I think we're going to have different homework assignments too. So who can do, you can do it. One of the projects will be, this will be like an academic course, like in Harvard. We'll have that as well. And one of the projects will be plan your own pilgrimage. And write it out. What do you want to do? What books do you want to read? This becomes something very, very powerful. In fact, for people who cannot go, I think I gave this for the, I gave in Harvard, one of my chaplaincy projects, I did senior care for the senior devotees who cannot go to India anymore. So by pilgrimage, with this technology and with this bhav, if you read beforehand, it's like you've more than gone there. Because I know some people, they went to Dakshineshwar, they didn't know anything that happened there. They said that they came and went with the same mind. They say clean as a baby's bottom. Swami Swanji used to say that if you went, you didn't learn. So I think that you can also, I will send it tomorrow, this link tomorrow. So I strongly advise if you can, I think I don't say it very often, but I think this will be something that could be, I'll only say this once, very, very transformational. Yes, I'll say that once, yes.
Nobody will say Ege John, Ege John.
What was that?
I said nobody will say Ege John, Ege
Yeah,
John.
yes, yeah.
Swami, are you, at one point, we discussed that you might continue this class on Zoom.
I'll continue. Yeah, I'll continue. Yeah, well, I'll continue this Yoga Sutras class. Yes, I'll continue this every Wednesday. Yeah.
And how about the Sunday classes?
Sundays? I think, right, let's see, because I actually have to, I think you're making, Swami Chid Brahmanandaji will be speaking next week. He's a very, very good speaker too. So he'll be doing that through Zoom. And I think he can maybe do one more week. Then after that, we'll see. And so we'll see. And also keep making plans, even if I do come back, make plans, invite others to do that, to start being active in those things as well, to get others. So this should be once a month, even somebody should still come. You think, keep this thing, because this is all for his sake. If we have that attitude, I think that that's really important. Yeah. Even if I come and stay here, I don't want this to be a Swami-centric center. I want this to be Ramakrishna-centric center. That's a very big difference. It makes a big difference. And every square inch of this place becomes something holy. Everything you sing here becomes something holy. You're singing to Thakur himself. Everything you do. And if you can, you come and meditate here. Like I said, the vibration in this place, it's different from good to meditate in our home, but this vibration here, you'll get much more. They say in a holy place, one japam is equal to 1,000 japams in other places. In Kashi, they say that. One japam in Kashi is equal to 100,000. So here we can say at least one is equal to 1,000. Because it's been established by this great sadhus, Swami Yogeshananda. So many sadhus have come here. It has what you call this Shuddha Sattva. By going here, your mind will become enlivened, purified. And what do we get through purification? We get through these different stages. So I'm giving you the easy route according to the Yoga Sutras. If you serve him, everything gets done. Any question? Yes, Shivadas.
Swami, my question is, how do you conquer lust?
Yeah, so the thing, see, let me take some water first then. This is the toughest question since I've had being in Harvard. I think somebody asked, Swamiji, what do you think of the BJP government? This was in front of 200 people were there.
Right.
And I was with the other Swami said, Swamiji, you can answer this. I was giving him all the easy questions, and he said, Swamiji, you can answer this question.
In the gospel, there's all this talk of women in gold and women in gold.
See, I first want to clarify that as well. It's a very wrong interpretation.
Okay.
When they say this Kamini Kanchan, that actually, women in gold, that also means men in gold for the women.
Yes.
And it also means lust and greed.
Mm-hmm.
And lust and greed is this kamana vashana, this kam. Kam is this root desire. From this desire, this whole world comes, right? So that's the natural flow of life. The way the river flows in that direction. So we don't say conquer lust. First we say everything is in gradual stages. So first is that this idea of love, it includes relations with one's partner, but it doesn't end there. It's only one actually a very small part of it. That's just one. Another part of it is what? The care for the other, sacrifice, thinking what's good, you know. Swami Vivekananda said marriage is actually the ultimate sacrifice. This is how you can spiritually progress. Always thinking of there's always, you know, my preferences or that person's, but you know, not that you always give in, but what's good for both of us, that we can go on the spiritual path. And so I think that just more unselfishness, that's only one part of it, and that doesn't have to be, that'll gradually, as we go along our path, not in the beginning, you'll see in time that those things slowly, Ramakrishna said that in a gradual way we see this, that first husband and wife, they have children, they live through this different cycles. Everyone needs some affection too. Lust is not, it's actually a very wrong interpretation that it's just for, it's just the satisfaction of one's impulses. It represents, it's a wide pendulum of things, right? On the one side is just this, what you say, intercourse. Other side, it's this, that desire to serve, love, which everyone, even Thakur wants this love. So one time Swami Turiyananda, he was a young monk, he was a young brahmachari, he was hating women. And he said, if you hate anything, it'll come with even more intensity. So don't hate, see the Divine Mother there. So what we say in our scriptures is that towards our partner, that's brahmacharya, just that nishta, that loyalty towards one. So that means that when we go outside, we don't look at others. If we look, we push it back. That's pratyahara for us. That's brahmacharya for householders. It's okay to have relations, but with just my significant other, that's all. Even at the mental level, we see that, we try to cut that out. That's struggling to cut that out, not engaging in that. That's what we say brahmacharya is in between husband and wife. Because from that, children will come. Holy Mother said, without good children coming in the world, how will devotees, she said this, how will devotees come into the world? So we need good children to come into the world. So I don't want to think like that. You know, so I think that's, and I could also say this, that some of the most spiritual people I've ever met in my life have been householders. It doesn't mean that just because you're a monk that you're spiritual and you're a householder, you're not. So these things, in fact, they say that as we go on in the path, so husband and wife, as they go on together, then slowly, in a natural way, they find that that physical thing becomes less. They still enjoy each other's company, but more, it starts at the gross level. But slowly it evolves to the mental level. And more devotional activities. Thinking of God, talking about God with each other. This is a wonderful practice with your significant, talking with God with others. Talking about God. This is Ramakrishna praised that. These young devotees would marry. Or when they talk about God at night. They might read the gospel. What do you think of that? You know? So always giving, both are there. In this way, and even as you say, if you're going on a road trip, you might think, okay, I'm going to take Ramakrishna with me. Or I'll take him with me. Then that whole trip becomes something transformed then. You're taking a child with you, a Ramakrishna, baby Ram. So then that whole thing, you think that also becomes very spiritual. It all becomes, it's on our mindset. So there's a expression in Bengali, Jar bhav temni labh. What is your attitude? That is your gain. Now that's between partners, and some of us were not in relationships. Even better for you. So, or even better, I'm saying, in one way, we have to then, or as just as good, we can also have a community here as well. Even those who are married, you can have group meetings here, have readings, form a circle, keep the topic on God. I mean, those who are married could come. This community is very important. Whether you're married or unmarried, doesn't matter. This community here is very, very important. And that building that community up. And that community is the most important thing. You know, in Buddhism they say, Shangam Sharanam Gacchami. That community is equally important as Dharmam and Buddham. So the community, we're all devotees of Ramakrishna. So we're all like one really big family. So we're all like brothers. Now, do we get along with all our brothers and sisters? I just hung up on my brother right now. He called during. So it's love and hate, right? So the thing is though that it goes in cycles. So the only thing is that we try to, but we have to self-reflect. We have to find our own blind spots. If I'm not getting along with somebody else, I have to reflect upon myself because that's affecting me. That's affecting my spiritual life. That's the impurity that has to be wiped away. That has to be cleansed. That's not so easy. I can say from my own personal experience, there used to be people that I would see them, I would get very triggered. Not so easy. So what do you do then? First you have to keep some distance. But that's not the goal of life. The goal of life. You don't have to get along with everybody, but we have to bring that attitude that he's also a devotee of Ramakrishna. It might not be perfect. If somebody, in this ashram, if anybody, once again I say this is Ramakrishna's ashram. So if somebody is doing this or that, anything one does or does not do, he's the, other places I've seen this, another Bellarmont even. He gives us a rope, but then it goes to a certain extent. But then if he doesn't want, it's his will, we say. Shokoli tomari ichha. So we have to bring that attitude. Everything revolves around him here. Everything, every square inch, everything. So if we see anything here, to the extent that we do that, we cut our karma. Only here in that sense, because that Shuddha Sattva is here, that purification is here. So we can get purified. You can go do karma yoga outside too. I'm not saying you cannot. But that purity that Ramakrishna is, that's started by a sadhu, you won't get that in many places. And many sadhus have come. So that's important to come to the ashram. Come and stay and meditate too. Yeah. Make this your own. What Swamiji said, practicing the 4 yogas, all the yogas should be practiced here. When you come here, whoever comes, they should first come and spend meditation time. Half an hour, 15 minutes, half an hour, and it should increase every time somebody comes. Swami A, he came when I was in Washington, D.C. It started off very small time, but he sits every day 2 hours. So then I started also sitting longer and longer times. So when we come here, we should also stretch ourselves too. Not just come, we should come first and sit here and stretch, expand our meditation, both the intensity and the extensity. So that should be a goal as well. So I say that on Sunday, anytime you can come, this place is always open, and it's also AC. Where will you get this in Georgia of all places? This is not what we're doing. He's giving this place to you guys. You have to understand, he's giving this place, nobody else. How fortunate you are. So this is how fortunate we are. Yeah. And if you can, plant some more flowers or something, or bring some flowers. Mother Kali, she loves hibiscus. If you get this red hibiscus, whenever you come, you can bring. She's very happy for that. And maybe later on we'll see, maybe about Ramakrishna, Swami A was talking that these pictures should be done in a different way, that they can be offered flowers. That's the tradition of our order. And so that should be followed actually. So that some modifications will have to take place per our tradition of Bellarmont in our Vedanta society. These pictures should be kept in such a way that we can offer them flowers. It's very important. And not one on top of the other. It should be side by side. Afterwards we'll talk about this. Okay. Anything else then? Yes, Swamiji.
Do you have energy for one more?
Yeah, sure.
It's a quick one, hopefully. When you reach the state of, dhyana or samadhi, when all the vrittis are blocked except one, that vritti, is that like the name of the ishta or the form of the ishta? Do we have a choice or does it just happen? And if it is a form, how clearly does it?
Yeah. So she's asking, when you reach the final stage, is that the name or is it the form? So people will say different things. Some will say that you're a visual person, so it'll be the form. Some people will say they love the name. It'll be the name. Some people will say it's the feeling. What I say, it's like how you think of your grandchild. What is that? Do you think of the name? Do you think of the form? or it just is. So when something is something that you love, that you want to take, that it's in Bangla we say nijer lok, ghore lok, that your own. Do you think of it as name or form or feeling, or it just is? It's just a part of you. So when that feeling comes, yeah, Eves, go ahead.
Okay. You mentioned Svadhyaya briefly.
Yeah, swadhyaya.
Swadhyaya. And that's
Swadhyaya.
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 Yes, yes.
Okay, got it.
And just so you know, that means swa means self, adhaya. Adhaya means study.
Uh-huh.
And so that's the sandhi becomes swadhyaya.
So that was my question about, because I've always known it as self-study, self-inquiry.
So-
but I've heard other people say it was scriptural study and
Yes.
define Atma Vichara as
Yes.
self-study instead. So is there a distinction between the two?
Yeah.
Or-
So different commentators. So literally in Sanskrit, swa means self and adhaya means study, self-study. Other commentators said that it could mean self-introspection. Vyasa says it's the study of the scriptures, but what scriptures? Those books, those studies that take our mind inward and upward. Not outward and downward, or not, so that's those that take us towards God. It can also mean this Atma Vichara, discrimination between the self and the non-self. It can also mean in some repetition of the mantra. It covers all the yogas actually, Swadhyaya. It can also mean self-introspection. So at the end of the day, where am I going? Am I going in the right path? What have I done good? What have I done bad during the day? Not brooding over it, but just touching upon it. Understand? Which direction am I going? Remember the Titanic? It's going really fast towards that iceberg. So how do we know? We're like a big Titanic too. What direction are we headed in? We have to catch ourselves. So they say, especially evening time, during evening time meditation, in addition to singing or our meditation instructions, this self-introspection. What have I done during the day? What have I done? What have I done good? What have I done bad? Not blaming, but just seeing what direction is the ship heading in, and then course correction. If there's something, is there somebody I criticized today? Is there somebody that I thought badly of? Can I bring that up? At that time, let me try to think something good of that person now. I don't have to say anything, but let me think something good of that person. Pratipaksh, bring the opposite. Because otherwise our mind won't be homeostasis. It won't achieve that state of equanimity unless we do that. You're saying that Holy Mother said that Jodi Shanti Chai, Onoloke Doshe Dekpina. If you want peace of mind, don't look at the faults of others. Look at your own faults. So what did she mean by that? Any type of fault we look at others, fault finding, whether it's objective or subjective, whatever, it brings us a Shanti. And it also adds karma. Every bad thought, it adds karma to the next life. It's called karmashaya. So we have to be very, very aware of that. Always to try to be alert. Offer that to the Divine Mother. Let me try not to do that tomorrow. It's a struggle. To change the tendency is a struggle. It's not so easy. It's very, very difficult actually. But we have to keep trying. It's very important. And fault finding. It's one of the most destructive tendencies in spiritual life. Okay, so I think I'll close up, but I just want to say how much I think last 7 weeks since July 8th. So I've really, almost 7 weeks. So I've really enjoyed seeing all of you and spending time with you. And I thank you all so much for your holy company. And we've had so many nice Swami Sarvadevananji for almost 1 week, and Swami A, and it saw so many things. So I thank you all for all your all your help for me too during this time. So I thank you all for that. I want to say that my best wishes that everyone stay well and keep progressing. And like I said, uh, to the main Mahanta here is Ramakrishna. So that, please keep that. If nothing else, keep that one idea in mind again and again and again and again. Through that, everything will be attained. Yes.
Thank you so much. We have learned so much from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll sit here. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Ma. Oh, tomorrow it's okay. Tomorrow leave at 8 o'clock. Flight leaves at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, yeah. I'll go to Phoenix from there. And then what was that?
You have to leave it around 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I think so. 5 or 5:30 at the latest, I think. So yeah. It's